just outside the 10. Carr zips it in and it's Waller. He spins into the end zone for the touchdown. Watching greatness on one end in LeBron. There's a dude with 35 in white getting it done defensively and then offensively taking over the final. Mama, there goes that man.
They have shared a brilliant championship battle, but the championship can only be won by one, and it's going Dutch in 2021. Max Verstappen, for the first time ever, is champion of the world.
Hello everybody and welcome to the first edition of the Waterboy Experience. I am, of course, your host, the Waterboy himself, Davis McLemore. Today we got a lot to cover, but to start off with me, I'm going to introduce my good friend, Jason Shaddix, the F1 fanatic himself. Jason, how are you, man?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I've been trying to listen and live through your bad intro takes for the last 20 minutes, but otherwise than that, I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing excellent. I got my Raider hat on, and you've got your Detroit Lions paper bag of shame on, and I'm ready to dive into this head first. Let's go.
God damn it, how many times I told you, I watched the Lions from afar. I am not a fan. I am a fan of Red Bull Racing. I like a team that can win, but with that being said, I do believe that, you know, they got a good team, and, you know, they got a good coach, got good morality. But enough about that, because we're going to be talking about that later on. Tell the fine people, the one guy who probably listened to this.
If there are any people.
Yeah, that's true. What the premise of this show is.
Well, basically, this show is just you and me talking about anything under the sun in the world of sports. Every now and then we'll have a special guest on, somebody that knows more about a certain sport. Basically, the show is going to be F1 racing and NFL. So,
and the occasional wrestling in there. I know it's not considered real sports,
but that's someone else's job.
But we'll be shitting on it.
We will be shitting on it. That's honestly probably the one thing I can't watch. But anyway, yeah, so the whole basis of this show is just two jackasses talking about sports. And no, ladies and gentlemen, we are not professional sportscasters. We're professional assholes. And we'll give our professional asshole opinion on things. And you might not agree with it, but it's not your job to agree with it. So,
hey, at the very least, we can admit when we're biased.
I can admit when I'm biased.
And let's be honest, everybody at ESPN is a professional jackass, too.
But we are...
Well, technically, they're ass kissers.
Adam Scheifter.
Oh, my God. You had a really bad cough right there. Ooh.
Yeah, that was a bad one. Something ugly came out.
What does Shaquille O'Neal's mother have to do with anything?
Shut up. Edit that out. But, damn it, you made me lose my train of thought. So here we are, talking about sports. We're going to try to not be biased as possible, but every now and then we just have to shit on something we don't like. But we encourage fan interaction, you know, interact with us on social media and everything, you know, get into arguments with us. We love fucking debating about sports and racing and F1 and all, you know, any of that stuff. We love talking about it and debating about it. And we love proving the people wrong. So, should we prove some people wrong?
Well, I don't know what much proving to do is, but let's start with some other news besides before getting into the draft, because that's the main event. That's the main course for this.
The main course.
We waited so many times for this, but I got some stuff. I got some news. Okay, I got some stuff. So,
ladies and gentlemen, I think he has some news.
If you could hear this, these are my news notes that I took.
Flail them around. Yeah,
there you go. So, do you want to start off in Europe or America?
Let's go to Europe.
All right, in the world of Europe, DTM had their first two races of the season.
Wait, first, what is DTM? Honestly, I'm not even saying explain that to the listeners. I have no idea what that is.
So, DTM is essentially, originally started as a German-only racing league for GT cars, which are Grand Touring cars, which are essentially, say for example, you got the Nissan GTR. Well, you modify it with a little bit more of aero kit, so it's a little bit faster, you change it, and it's essentially, you take a street car and you modify it into becoming a race car.
So you could get that Ford Explorer and make it into a DTM car.
There are limits on body panels and all that. Plus, I don't think that shit Explorer could actually make it through.
It can't make it down the highway.
No, you're thinking about the Crackmobile.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, DTM. So it essentially was a German-only league, but they've been opened up more. Right now, it's the reigning champions are Mercedes. Yeah, we're gonna get into Mercedes.
We are biased against Mercedes.
But anyway, DTM was actually in a controversy last season because of a dirty tactic by Mercedes drivers and them letting Maximilian Gotts drive by and win the world championship against the Red Bull. So there was a lot of anger about the season, and a lot of people said, well, you know what, I wanted to give DTM a chance, or I love DTM, but I'm not watching a season where obviously they're letting the cheaters go unscathed. Because that wasn't fair, and it wasn't. If you look at the clips, it wasn't. So it did hurt him. A lot of people said, I'm never watching DTM again just because it ruined the sport. It wasn't, it's not fair.
And honestly, can you blame them?
No, you cannot.
No, because, I mean, now the legitimacy of your racing company is compromised.
Well, your racing league.
Your racing league, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, hold on, quick question. Is Mercedes as dominant in DTM as they are in F1 over the past several years?
Well, the world champion is a Mercedes driver now.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah.
But has that been like a trend over the past,
Yes, they have
several
been
years?
focusing in a lot. Mercedes is a very powerful team in a lot of sports, and we'll actually get to it in Formula E, but they won the Monaco race. Mercedes
really?
EQ. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But going back to DTM, they had the season opener in Portimao, and the reigning champion, Maximilian Gotts, I hope I'm pronouncing him right, didn't even make it into the top 10 of race 1. Now, he did make it into the top 5. He did get number 5 in race 2, but the first race wasn't that great. And Lucas Aru, I don't know. Yeah, these German names are killing me. But he won the first race, and the second race was actually won by Nico Müller for Team Rosberg.
Team Rosberg?
Mm-hmm.
Nico Rosberg?
No, it's actually his father's Keke Rosberg.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Nico was racing for a team called Rosberg, like Nico Rosberg.
No, not really.
Oh.
No, this is Nico Müller.
Right.
And he's racing for Team Rosberg. But yeah, he is. It is.
But it's Nico. You get it? It's
yeah,
Nico Rosberg.
It's a Nico. But Nico Rosberg does have a racing team for, what was it, Formula Extreme or something like that, Extreme E, I think it is. It's like an off-road electric truck racing, I guess. Not truck, but like something like that.
I thought they just put the F1 cars on mud tracks. I was like, fucking hell, I don't think that'll work.
This is not America. We do things right in Europe. But going back to Formula E, yeah, they did have, they finally went back to Monaco, which is great. It's a wonderful circuit. It's one of the most historical racetracks out there. And it's quite interesting because I didn't realize that Monaco was already ready for the race, because the Monaco race for Formula 1 isn't until a few weeks from now.
Really?
Yeah, it's going
after Miami?
After Miami is, I think,
okay.
Monaco. But yeah, the track is already set up, the stands and all that. So I'm guessing they're just waiting for the Formula 1 guys to go there.
Yeah. Does that happen a lot? Like when a smaller racing promotion, when they have a Formula 1 race going on, and then while the track is set up, they use like a smaller racing promotion will come in and race on that track?
Yes,
while it's already set up?
Yeah, in Australia, for example, they had I think it was super sports cars, something like that. They had like 2 different leagues of sports cars racing as the opening show for Formula 1, and that's just for the Australian fans and the local TV there, I'm guessing. But Formula 1 then raced on there.
Interesting.
And then Formula 1 is followed a lot by their feeder series, Formula 2 and Formula 3. So they race, they don't race on every circuit, but they race on like some circuits. I think like Formula 3 only has 8 races throughout the entire, maybe 8 or 6 races throughout the entire season. And they go to like certain places. Sometimes they race along Formula 2, but yeah, they do that just because Formula 1 does attract crowds. DTM, I'll be honest, I was watching the highlights and...
Not as big of a crowd.
Oh my God.
Especially now with all the controversy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's even a quarter of what Formula 1 draws in Portimao, because they were there last year and there's not a quarter of the people there. It was like the stands were empty.
It's like a Detroit Lions game.
Yeah. Well, the difference is for the Detroit Lions, because people can't afford to go into the stadium. They just don't have any jobs.
Yeah. There's no jobs in Detroit.
DTM.
Shout out to our folks in Detroit. We love you.
Yeah, DTM. Well, it's like... actually, it's not that bad. I actually looked up how much it's going to cost to go to a DTM race, and apparently for the stands, it's only like 85 euros.
Not bad.
Not bad. It's cheaper than Formula 1.
A lot cheaper than Formula 1.
Yeah, but let's keep on going with our trend of sports talk, and let's go to the Americas, because I don't have anything else for over there. We're waiting for our friend in the UK to make a special appearance to talk about the Premier League. So there's that. Let's go to NBA. So as of recording, last night was May the 2nd, on Monday, and it was the beginning of the NHL Stanley Cup, in which, let me get my notes out, The Toronto Maple Leafs beat the Tampa Bay Lightning by 5-0. Carolina Hurricanes beat out the Boston Bruins 5-1. I was surprised about that one. St. Louis Blues beat the Minnesota Wild 4-0, and the Los Angeles Kings beat the Oilers by 1 point 4-3. And I watched some of the games, but it was like, okay.
Yeah, we need to get more into NHL.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into it.
I'm personally, just because of the NFL team I support, I'm a Vegas Knights guy. So
they got a cool color scheme.
They do.
Yeah. All right, and now we have the NBA conference games. So right now we have, which yesterday, of course, was the first games. Was Miami Heat beat the Philadelphia 76ers 106-92. Oof. Golden State.
See, that's impressive, though, because, I mean, the Heat have been kind of rebuilding since they lost the big three.
Isn't Harden in the 76ers?
I think he is. Harden and Joel Embiid.
Yeah, and a lot of people were touting for him or something like that, or at least hating on him, something like that. Uzi, one of our guys that we're friends with.
The Sixers have been very off and on this year.
Yeah, and he's such a diehard 76ers, and I just love rubbing that in his face.
I've got a friend at work. He's a 76ers fan. I swear, it's like he's bipolar. One week he comes in there, he's like, hell yeah. The next week he's just like, them 76ers, man, I can't take it anymore.
Hey, try being a fan of the Detroit Lions.
No, that's just constant down.
Kind of like being a Raiders fan.
No, Raiders fan is very up and down.
Yeah, it's up and down. But anyway, continue. So we have the Bucks beat the Celtics 101-89. The Mavericks lost to the Suns 121-114. And Golden State barely won against the Memphis Grizzlies 117-116.
See, that is going to be a good series.
That is.
You got the Golden State Warriors, who have dominated the NBA for the past several years. Then you got the Grizzlies, who have kind of come out from nowhere and shocked a lot of people this year.
Yeah.
It's gonna be exciting.
It's going to be exciting. But that's enough about American sports. Let's go on to my favorite sport, Formula One.
See, I used to be a NASCAR guy, but now that you've gotten me into Formula One racing, I'm like, this is a little bit more entertaining.
Well, the thing about NASCAR is, they have the new, what is it, the Gen 5 now they're up to? Yeah, they're up to the Gen 5. The thing about NASCAR in general is that it's so overproduced and I find it to be bland. I don't think that there's enough variety to keep, entertained.
Every single track is the same.
Essentially, and they actually were racing in like a track a few weeks ago, maybe been a month ago, where everybody said, this is the worst race we've ever seen. As there was like 19 overtakes in like 600 laps or something like that. I think it was in Los Angeles, and it was just a horrible one. And I don't see the interest in oval racing. I'll be honest. I don't see the interest in oval racing. I try to get into it. I like more of the old stuff when you had guys like Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt.
When those cars were moving ridiculously fast.
Oh, yeah. Especially like the 70s and all that when you had the
Plymouth Roadrunner.
Yeah. The Dodge Charger Daytona.
Yeah.
When you had like when there was actual cars that you were like, okay, these cars are very different from each other. They used
muscle cars for a minute there.
Yeah, and a lot of people say, well, if you really look at the cars, they are different, and it's like, yeah, but the difference isn't enough.
Yeah, it's like looking at a Chevy sedan, a Dodge sedan, and a Ford sedan.
Kind of blend in.
Yeah.
But going back to Formula One, this season has been going really great. So far, we had a new new regulation that essentially pressed a reset on the entire field. A lot of teams that were in the back moved up to the front, and some front teams moved out to the back. And actually, the biggest team that was hurt was Mercedes-AMG Petronas.
Which, of course, we love to see.
Yeah, we love to see. 8 years in a row constructor champions. And 7 years they were the 8 years they were also the
Lewis Hamilton was world champion.
No, 7 years. I was
7.
wrong. Yeah, 7 years. One was with Nico and the other were with Lewis, but they were like in a row. Nobody could be Mercedes. And this year they're struggling, and Lewis Hamilton is struggling big time. Something that you and I have been talking off personal time was George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, and how George Russell, is making the car go to its limit. He's actually going into top 5 places.
Oh yeah, he was in P4.
Yeah, he was in P4 for Imola, which was the last race.
And it's confusing because you look at Lewis Hamilton, former world champion, he's finishing
one of the greatest racing drivers ever. A lot of people say, well, he's not as great as Ayrton Senna or Michael Schumacher, but I think, because it's the car. Well, a lot of people said the same thing about the Ferrari.
Completely unbiased.
Yeah.
He's one of the best of all time.
Yeah, he's one of the best. And, if you look at his junior career before going to Formula One, he was really fast. He was really good. But this year, I think losing to Max Verstappen, and especially losing to the way he lost, where it came down to the last lap and that Mercedes just didn't have it. Just if maybe one more lap and it would have passed Verstappen, but Max won the world championship. And for me, I think Lewis just lost a bit of passion there.
Do you think it would be different if the regulation change didn't happen? You think instead of Max versus Leclerc, we'd still be talking about Max versus Hamilton?
Possibly, because the Mercedes is fast and the Red Bull is fast. But
it was a great car last year.
But it just didn't work out for the Mercedes this year because they're having a lot of issues with porpoising. The new regulations say you can't have floorboards where they would have all these intricate pieces of sticky bits that stuck out.
Right.
And essentially push the car down. Now, the way the car is pushed down nowadays is through side skirts, which suck in the air and drag the car down. Now, one of the issues with this is that you have porpoising, which is when you hit the tarmac and you're bumping. And the Mercedes, that's the car that's bumping the worst out of all the cars.
It plagued them bad.
So, and this happens in the straights. It doesn't happen during the corners or any of that. When you're going straight, just because you're getting so much more air, you're just bouncing up and down. And the way it hurts is, one, George Russell has stated that I'm in a lot of pain following the Imola Grand Prix because his back is hurting. Because there's nothing under the car except carbon fiber and all that. So,
and how long are they in those cars per race?
About an hour and a half, maybe 2.
Yeah, so imagine just an hour and a half, constant just pulsing pressure on your back.
Exactly. It's painful. And, that's, again, that's plaguing the Mercedes the worst. And they're thinking maybe they can fix it by the end of the year. But the way I see it, they might have to redesign the whole car. Because they went with the radical approach where they call it the no side pods. So the side pods are the side of the car, and that's what, sucks the air in to cool in the engine and all that. They came in with a design that was very bare minimum. There were side pods, but they were very small, and it almost looked like it didn't have any.
But remember when that Mercedes first came out this year, we looked at it and we were like, this is gonna be a mean car. And then Lewis sent out those tweets like, if you thought I was trying my best last year, just wait until this year.
Whoa, that did not
age well. That aged well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Man.
But yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. Either you get it right or you really don't. And now a team that really got the regulations right was Ferrari and its customer teams of Alfa Romeo and Haas. They have been doing amazing this season. And it just comes down to a few points. Like,
one, Ferrari spent a lot of money and a lot of time fixing their engines because in 2019 they really had a good engine. Turns out they were cheating, and
turns out it was bullshit.
Yeah, it was bullshit, and they were punished. And apparently, I don't know if this is 100% true, but one of the punishment was that all Ferrari engines had to run at a decreased rate. That means they weren't running like they used to. So it wasn't just cheating. They actually told them, turn that engine down, or you're gonna get a worse punishment, and they did, and that's why they were bad. Of course, it also has to come down to like how you design in the car. And Ferrari has been trying to beat Mercedes for the last 8 years, but just could not. And another team that has been trying to beat Mercedes has been Red Bull, and again, they did win. Max Verstappen won the world championship.
Super Max.
Hey, copyright. And this year, it almost looked like Red Bull didn't get it right either because they're having a lot of reliability issues, mostly due to fuel. This year, they're using a different type of fuel than before because they don't use regular road car fuel. They use a different mixture that eventually makes it into the market. So essentially, they're pioneering new engine, like gasoline types and all that, trying to be more less pollution.
Right.
Unfortunately, Red Bull, the way this fuel works, once you're working with low fuel, the fuel pump wasn't grabbing enough fuel, so the car actually stopped. And at one point, it actually caught on fire for, I think, AlphaTauri, and then it also caught on fire for Max Verstappen in Australia, but I think that was more of a brake line broke.
Sounds like he's driving a Ford.
Could be worse. Could be driving a Dodge.
Hey.
No, but that's an issue, reliability. And Christian Horner, who's the team principal of Red Bull, said, well, I don't really want a reliable car. I want a fast car. And a lot of people saying, well, out of the 3 races this year, you only finished 1.
Yeah.
And at the season opener in Bahrain, both cars went out. Checo went out and Max went out. And fortunately this year, Checo won in Australia. Well, Checo didn't win, but I think he got P2 in Australia. And then coming into Imola, Max won the race after Leclerc, who's in the Ferrari, spun out. It was like 10 laps before the race ended, and he was trying to overtake Max, and like Max is very fast in the straights. It's just the Red Bull is just a better car for straight, and the Ferrari
In the turns, the Ferrari
is a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beast. And
So it's very back and forth. Like when they're neck and neck with each other, the Ferrari will take over that Red Bull in the turn, and then as soon as they get back on a straight, that Red Bull just goes.
yeah, and so Leclerc was trying to stay as close as he could to Verstappen because they were about to get to a DRS zone, and if you get the DRS, you can open the rear wing, and that gives you like a 15 to 20 miles per hour boost. And unfortunately, Verstappen, Leclerc overshot and just spun out.
And that was it.
And that was it.
That was
Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know. It wasn't Verstappen that he was chasing. My bad. It was Checo.
Was Checo P1 at that time?
No, P2.
Oh, he was P2?
Verstappen was ahead. That's what I was
Okay,
realizing
and
now.
he was just trying to catch up to the other two.
Yeah.
That's right, because it was P1, P2.
Yeah,
Red
I
Bull.
don't know why I said it was Verstappen. No, but he was chasing Checo Perez, teammate for Max Verstappen. And, Checo, he did put the pressure on Checo. There was a point where Checo was, like, he actually missed braking point and had to go straight into the grass. Luckily, he didn't spin out. And he ended up pulling ahead, and Leclerc ended up spinning out. And, it was heartbreaking because that was Italy.
Yeah.
And the Italians have been wanting a win since 2019 when they wanted Monza. But, that happened, and...
Well, that's tough. Red Bull wins.
Tough. But, I mean, again, we've only been, 4 rounds into the Formula 1 season. There's like 24 rounds in total. So this week is going to be the Miami Grand Prix.
Give me your prediction.
It's a lot. I feel it's one of those lots of straights, and I think Verstappen is going to get P1.
Yeah.
If that car doesn't break down, P1, Checo, P2, P3, depends. Leclerc, again, P2, P3, depends on where Checo ends.
He's going to be right up there.
But if...
You're going to be looking at a lot more battles.
Yeah, I just hope Carlos Sainz spins out against. That way we can overtake him in the Constructors' Championship. Oh, what a poor lad.
He's had it rough.
Yeah, but going back to it, Haas has been doing great. Ferrari engine. They were used to be one of the worst team on the field. Now they're in the top... they're fighting for top 10 with Kevin Magnussen, 10-year
One of the
veteran.
more improved teams this year.
Someone I'm really hoping that improves a lot is Mick Schumacher, son of 7-time world champion Michael Schumacher. That kid's got it. He'll
get a hang.
He won Formula 2, Formula 3, and then everything before then. He's won it.
He's very slow to get used to cars.
Yes, that's the
since
biggest.
this is a new car, he's driving
and
first
they're always
year.
changing. Well, second year.
No, because the new regulation changes. It's essentially a new car.
Oh, that is true. That's a good point. That's a new car. And I mean, last year they were basically driving a bus.
That's a long car.
Yeah, but that's how the Formula 1 season is going. It's going to be great, and that's about it. Now let's move on to the main event, the NFL draft.
Notes of my own. Actually, I was just picked up your paper and looked at it. So, how I'm going to do this, I'm going to talk about pretty much the top 3 teams and then the bottom 3 teams. These are all, in my opinion, who did the best in the draft. First, let me talk about my team, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Boo.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I love the Raiders. I'm more of a Raiders fan than a Lions fan, to be honest.
So, we drafted Devontae Adams in the first round, essentially.
Essentially,
that's what we did, which, I would take that. But we made our big splash in free agency.
Yes.
Early in the offseason. We didn't need a big draft here.
And if we can talk about this for a second, how does that affect Green Bay?
Green Bay?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
Green Bay actually had a pretty decent...
No, I'm talking about, like, Devontae Adams. He's not any player. Oh, we can replace him. You can't. No, you cannot replace him. So how does this affect Green Bay overall?
It hurts Aaron.
Maybe people will now take the blinds off.
The interesting thing, I think... Devontae Adams, you can come to Hattiesburg, Mississippi and beat my ass if this is the case, if it's not true. But apparently Devontae had told Aaron that he wasn't leaving. And then what happened?
He left.
So...
He finally left the physical abuser.
The weird thing... Shut your mouth. The weird thing is he got out of a franchise tag. That's never happened before.
Okay, so I'm not a...
He kind of...
Hold up. I'm not a big football fan. I've been getting into it. Like, you've been getting into Formula 1. I've been getting into NFL. So what is a franchise tag?
Essentially, when the offseason starts, you can put a franchise tag on a guy, and basically that's saying he cannot leave the team.
Okay.
You can't trade him. He can't go into free agency. He can't quit. You can't release him. He's stuck here.
He's locked in.
He's locked in. So they paid Aaron Rodgers an obscene amount of money, more than he's worth, in my opinion. And
which is something that I've been saying. I may not be a long-time NFL fan, but at the same time, I look at Aaron Rodgers like, why are people touting him to be this great
Right.
football player?
What is it, like $50 million a year?
Yeah, he may be a great football player, but the amount of money he is asking and Green Bay and
It's
all this,
absurd.
and how he's, I'm going to leave this year. I'm going to leave this year.
Oh, I'm not happy. I'm going to leave. I'm going to go do Jeopardy.
Yeah, and people touting him to be this great champion, this Super Bowl winning player. I mean, compare him to Tom Brady. Seven world championships compared to one.
And Tom Brady's only being paid like, what, $28 million a year?
Yeah.
He takes a pay cut so then he can have good players around him. That's a guy that wants to win. But
And you can't say it's a fluke because he won with Tampa Bay.
oh no, it's not. It's all Tom.
Well, it's the team.
The team, but last year it was the team that made him lose.
That is true.
Is a much similar situation to what happened in Kansas City. They paid Patrick Mahomes an obscene amount of money. Tyreek Hill saw what the Raiders did with Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams became the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. And Tyreek Hill was like, hey, I want that kind of money. And then the Chiefs were like, well, we can't really give you that kind of money. He went to Miami, and they gave him that kind of money.
Dolphins got a good player.
They did. Now, Dolphins had one of the worst drafts, but they kind of made up for it with getting Tyreek Hill. I think they only had like 4 picks in the draft overall.
But is it enough?
That's the question. Tua is very young. He hasn't really proved himself 100% yet. So,
And then there's also the getting used to a new team because you're now playing with a new playbook and just a different style of coaching and all that.
yeah. But with the Raiders draft, we did pretty not fantastic, but we didn't do bad. We did solid. We patched up the holes. This wasn't meant to be a big-time draft where we signed star after star after star. My favorite pick that we did not pick up the 5th-year option on Josh Jacobs, and that's okay. A lot of Raider fans are upset about that. I think it's okay.
And why is that?
Well, Josh Jacobs, over the past few years, he's been inconsistent, and that's not completely his fault. That comes with injuries. You know, he'll tweak his leg one game, and he'll just kind of be rough for the next couple weeks, and then he'll come back and he'll have a great game. And then he'll tweak his shoulder, and then he'll come back and it'll be a few weeks until he's back ready.
Yeah.
It's been detrimental to our run game because we need to open up our run game. We can't just solely rely on the passing game. Even though we have Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, we need that second dimension that we can go into. So I think that my favorite draft pick that we had was running back Zamir White from Georgia. Go watch that guy play in the national championship against Alabama. Fucking balled out. And I'm surprised that he fell in, the 4th round? Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels are doing it right.
Well, something you said to me a few weeks ago was that this year the draft there wasn't a lot of really players that stood out to you. Is that something that's gonna play into effect with this year's season?
Maybe. Because I look at the draft, the only 2 players that really stood out to me were the first 2 picks that were taken.
Which one of them went to the Detroit Lions? Aiden Hutchinson.
Trayvon Walker and Aiden Hutchinson are the 2 stars. Everybody else was, I'm not saying they're bad players, but none of them, this wasn't a draft where we had several great looking studs. We had 2 good players and then several players that can be molded into something better.
Well, one thing I kind of pointed out to you also was, look at Tom Brady. He wasn't a first-round pick.
He wasn't.
Wasn't he one of the very last players to be picked?
He was.
And look what he became. So, I mean...
You never can tell.
Yeah.
But he didn't develop. That's the difference because he didn't develop in college. He developed in the NFL.
That's true.
So he was very moldable. He was very teachable. A lot of these guys, Zamir White, Dylan Parham, Neil Farrell, Matthew Butler, these are guys that we can work on. They're not guys that we expect to come in, be day one starters. And, we don't expect Neil Farrell to get double-digit sacks in a season.
Yeah.
But under Max Crosby and Chandler Jones, we give him an opportunity to learn. We give him an opportunity to grow as a player. We give Zamir White an opportunity to work his way up to maybe by the end of this year, we can get rid, if Josh doesn't play up to par, it'll be sad, but we can let him go and we can plug Zamir White in and he can be our starter running back going forward.
Now, let me ask you this. Who do you think won out in the draft?
One team that really, really impressed me, I'll get to your Detroit Lions in a second.
Woo.
One team that really impressed me in the draft is the New York Jets.
And why is that?
They look for once, and they've done this for forever. They had Adam Gase as their head coach, and they were garbage, absolute garbage. Drafted Zach Wilson, and they're like, oh, that was a great pick. Well, that was a no-brainer. You had to do that. So I think with this draft class, cornerback Sauce Gardner, wide receiver Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, Breece Hall, these guys, even Michael Clemens, it all makes sense. It's like somebody intelligent sat down and said, these are the holes that we have, let's fill them in. And it impressed me. I think Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, they, just like Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels, they did it right, and they know what they're doing. And I think it was, I was watching the draft on NFL Network. It was Rich, his name escapes me. I know this guy. I've watched him ever since I was little. Rich Eisen, yeah. It was so cool because he goes, Can I get camera one here for a second? And the camera one pans to him. He says, I want to say how proud I am of the New York Jets, because that's his team. He's like, for once. And he's starting to tear up, and I was like, oh, Rich, don't do this to me. He goes, for once, they look like they know what they're doing. That's all we needed. They just need to look like an intelligent team. So, hats off to the New York Jets. You did phenomenal. The other team I want to talk about, and it's not necessarily their draft picks. Their draft picks were good, but they made one key trade in this draft. They traded for wide receiver A.J. Brown. Now, this is a team that has quarterback Jalen Hurts, and they also have Devontae Smith, who's a Heisman-winning wide receiver. You add A.J. Brown to the mix? I mean, this is an offense that's going to be dangerous. You're talking about the NFC East with the Dallas Cowboys, who've dominated that division for years, ever since the last time the Eagles went to the playoffs. Last time the Eagles won the Super Bowl. The Dallas Cowboys have been on top of that division, and the Dallas Cowboys are not even good.
No, they're not.
They get into the playoffs because, they have an easy in because they're in one of the easiest divisions to win in and play in football. But this Philadelphia Eagles offense looks like somebody. And they really focused on their defense in this draft, getting defensive tackle Jordan Davis. That's a great pickup. Linebacker Nakobe Dean, linebacker Kyron Johnson. They got a center Cam Jurgens. I think that was a phenomenal pick. And even late Grant Calcaterra. I think that's how you say his name. He's somebody you can work on. So he's a good stash. And I think, hats off again to the Philadelphia Eagles. You're improving.
What about Pittsburgh, since we're in that part of the country?
Since we're in that part of the country?
Yeah.
You want me to just skip to the worst draft class in the NFL?
Well, I'm talking specifically about the Pittsburgh Steelers' new quarterback, because unfortunately, their former quarterback was killed in an accident in Florida. So they needed a quarterback. So being that we're in the same area, what do you think about their pick? Because I heard a lot of people complain about it.
I exaggerated when I said the Steelers were the worst draft class. That is not the case. Name escapes me. Who did they draft?
Professionalism. You don't say this on the ESPN.
This is professional. Oh, that's right. They got Kenny Pickett. Okay. Kenny Pickett was actually one of the higher quarterback prospects in this draft, where there really wasn't many. I think the three that stood out to me were Matt Corral, hometown boy, go Ole Miss, Matt Corral, Malik Willis, and Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett's at the top of that list.
And it felt like the ESPN announcers or whoever was hosting the draft, they were all rooting for a quarterback. Because you were telling me about that.
Yeah, and it was. I don't want to say it was frustrating, because it's not like it was like, why are they doing this? It was just kind of like, what? Why are they doing this? Because whenever a team would trade up, they would always say, they're going for a quarterback here. You got to be doing this for a quarterback. There's not a quarterback here that's worth trading up a large amount for. I'm sorry, that was just the case. Kenny Pickett is not a Trevor Lawrence. Kenny Pickett's not a Peyton Manning. He's not the greatest quarterback, but he's a guy. You mentioned Tom Brady. He's a guy under the right scheme. He can learn a lot, and he can be pretty good. And I mean, he's coming off of, this is after Ben Roethlisberger's retirement, and they need somebody. You're putting him with Chase Claypool, Najee Harris, and they also drafted wide receiver George Pickens. I think they're setting him up. They're setting it up right. for Kenny Pickett to be able to succeed. And they could have gone Malik Willis, and a lot of people were like, why didn't we? But I think Kenny Pickett, just between the two, for that style,
he just fits it.
He just fits it better.
Yeah, he fits the mold better.
Taking nothing away from Malik Willis. Kenny Pickett was just the better quarterback.
So, do you have any other teams that did great in the draft you want to talk about, or can we talk about?
Sorry, last one I'm going to talk about, and they had a lot of draft picks.
Okay, and then we got to talk about who you think, in your personal opinion, is the worst team.
Right.
That, when they were doing draft. Yeah, the one. Not the worst team overall, because that would be the Jaguars or the Lions. But who was the team that lost the most in the draft?
So, first, one more. I'll give an honorable mention to the Baltimore Ravens. What a fucking draft class. It's big. Mm-hmm. But they did good work. And this is coming off of, during the draft, they traded away wide receiver Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Lamar, and you saw the tweets from Lamar Jackson. He's not happy about it. And, okay, I get it, man. But, you got to work with what you got, Lamar. You're not going to be able to hold on to these great players for your entire career.
No, and you can't cry about it.
Tom Brady could not have Wes Welker for his entire career. Tom Brady could not go with Randy Moss for forever. Derek Carr could not have Amari Cooper or Henry Ruggs for his entire career.
Well,
the Henry Ruggs is not necessarily anybody's
just a
fault.
dumb fuck.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course.
You have to learn to get other people the ball. Aaron Rodgers could not have Devontae Adams his entire career. So they did pretty good. They signed safety Kyle Hamilton, center Tyler Linderbaum, which he's probably the best. I don't even want to say the best center. He's probably the best offensive lineman coming out of this draft. You want to get the run game going, and you want to get Lamar Jackson more opportunities to spread the ball out, make that Tyler Linderbaum center. Put him right there, and you've already have a dramatically improved offensive line. So I'm a little excited to see what the Baltimore Ravens do this year. It's going to be different since they're going to miss Hollywood Brown, I know. But I want to see how they evolve. Because they got a lot of offensive linemen. Tyler Linderbaum, Daniel Falale, and then they signed somebody in free agency whose name escapes me. But it wasn't like a huge pickup. But I think they want to run the ball more. I think they want to do more wildcat-type things with Lamar Jackson, which I'm all for. That'll work. So that was really the teams that did the best. A lot of people are saying the Chiefs did one of the best. I'm not going to talk about the Chiefs.
It should be stated that you are very anti-Chiefs.
I'm very anti-Chiefs.
Specifically,
the Chiefs can wake up and take a shit, and then people love them. So
that's true. But you specifically hate them because of Patrick Mahomes.
Specifically, yes.
You do not understand how much he hates him. He has ranted for hours upon hours about Patrick Mahomes.
And that's what this podcast is for. It's to give me a platform to express my hatred for the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. I want to go to, when we're talking about in regards to teams that did not do super well in the draft, I want to start. They're not the worst. I want to start with the Los Angeles Rams, the reigning Super Bowl champions. They didn't do anything. They did a lot of, and they're such a good team. They didn't have any holes. You go into the draft and you're just kind of like, what do we do?
Yeah, I mean, you got to put
how do we plug these guys in? Sean McVay and Les Snead, they didn't need much anyway. So I'm mentioning them as one of the worst teams in the draft. But how can you make a team that's already the best team in the NFL even better?
And I think one of the big issues is, I think that's going to bite them in the ass, because what is the one thing everybody focused on during the Super Bowl was looking at the Rams and seeing how their defense plays and all that, and they're ready for them. Personally, I think that's a mistake not drafting somebody, or at least getting a strong pick, because they're going to
and because they're the Super Bowl champions,
they got a target on the back.
One, they have a target on the back, but two, they also didn't have very powerful pick positions.
That's a fair point. But they're going to have to do a lot to change their style of playing.
Don't get complacent.
Yeah, don't get complacent. Just because it worked last year doesn't mean it works in this year. Why? Because you got a target on your back. You are the Super Bowl winners. You are the team to beat, and especially because of how great their defense is. Even last year, before we were saying that they were going to go to the Super Bowl, you were saying, man, the Rams, they have such a great defense. And yeah, but other than that, who was the team who is not like the Rams, but like just a regular team who had a bad draft?
Sometimes I look at the Washington Commanders and I say, what are you doing? Why are you here? What is your purpose in life? It was weird.
How so?
I saw a tweet, it's from sportingnews.com. One word sums up the Commanders draft under Martin Mayhew and Ron Rivera and Scott Turner. quote-unquote weird. Rumor has it they wanted Chris Olave, wide receiver, stud, absolute star. But they let him go, and they traded that pick to the to the New Orleans Saints, and the Saints got him.
Wasn't that the one we saw a few days ago?
That was in the first round.
Oh, so who did the Saints get? Like that we saw on Instagram? You were like, what the hell?
I don't remember. To be fair, there were a lot of picks that I just went, what the hell?
Well, you were like, what the hell? That's a good pick. Oh, I don't know if.
It was probably Chris Olave.
Yeah, there we go.
That was probably him. I thought you meant like, what the hell? What are you doing?
No, I meant like, what the hell? That's a good pick.
Oh, no, Chris Olave was a really good pick from the Saints. But,
So you think the Aints got a chance this year?
Don't get ahead of yourself. Hopefully Jameis Winston's eyes don't get fucked up again. But no, the Washington Commanders draft was just, it was weird. It was weird to watch because you sat there and they drafted quarterback Sam Howell. That's one thing you can take away from everything else. And they have Carson Wentz at quarterback, who, to start off with, is not very good. I think they're bringing in Sam Howell to try to compete with Carson Wentz. And you know what? Okay, fine. But out of all the quarterbacks in this draft, all the ones that get publicity, Sam Howell got a lot more publicity than he's worth. I honestly don't think Sam Howell is ready to be a starting quarterback right now. I think that's just the way it is. So the last team I'll talk about is the New England Patriots. They're having a midlife crisis right now. They really miss old Tom.
Well, it's their fault they got rid of Tom.
I mean, yeah, but they're just kind of falling apart. Mac Jones is good, and there's rumors that they're going to trade for Odell Beckham. Okay, let's start doing some stuff in that department. But this draft didn't go anywhere. They got a player that was projected to be in the third round. They drafted him in the first round.
Really?
Like, come on. You're telling me there's not somebody better. And, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this Cole Strange guy.
Wait, is that his name? Cole Strange?
Cole Strange. He's a guard. But it's a stretch. You're telling me you couldn't find somebody else better? And maybe Cole Strange will just be a star. Maybe he'll just be like best offensive guard in the league or whatever. But just none of these picks were really worth anything. You look at it and you're just like, you trying? Are you doing something? Or are we just sitting there just going, I miss Tom?
Well, I mean, they weren't doing too bad last season, though.
No, they weren't. No, they did good. And, and I'm not saying anything about this season. I'm not saying anything about how they're going to do. Maybe all of these picks were like just guys that people were sleeping on and they just happened to fall on them.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, that was weird. And then turns out they'll have the best draft class of 2022. But no, they did pretty solid last year. And I think Mac Jones, he's going to get a lot better. Mac Jones played better than Trevor Lawrence did last year. But that's not really Trevor Lawrence's fault. Fuck you, Urban Meyer.
It's just that team in general.
It's just that team.
I mean, it's Jacksonville.
It's the Tony Khan virus. Jacksonville they did okay in the draft. Not going to complain about them.
Yeah, but you could do okay in the draft and you could still suck. I mean, look at it.
I mean, yeah.
Look at it. The Detroit Lions had Matthew Stafford for nearly 10 years. And, okay, you're not good. Okay, bye. Thanks for being with us. He's let go. He goes and plays for the Rams. He goes to the Super Bowl. He wins.
Well, Detroit is where, first-round players go to die. Rest in peace, Hayden Hutchinson.
No, look.
We'll see on the other side of 40 when you go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and decide to win a world championship.
No, look. I'll defend the Lions in this. Yes, they have a history of doing that, of killing talent. But at the same time, I do believe that with their new coach, that, there's morality is high. You've seen the videos and you've seen how passionate he is. I do believe that maybe, I'm not saying they're going to be Super Bowl winners. They're far from it, but I think they're going to get away from that rut. I think they're going to be a midfield team.
I can see that. And I mean, I'm not saying look for the Detroit Lions to be number one in the NFC North.
No.
They're a team. Detroit Lions have passion.
Yeah, they're a team to watch every now and then
because of their attitude. I mean, the two drafts picks that really stand out for me for the Detroit Lions was Aiden Hutchinson and then Jameson Williams.
Yeah.
And a lot of people hate on him for not going with a quarterback. But you know what? Jared Goff, give him another year. Give him another shot and just you're giving him Jameson Williams. Okay. Let's see how he can do with him.
Yeah, and I don't understand the shitting on for not getting another quarterback. We had Matthew Stafford. We couldn't make it work. What the fuck do you think a new quarterback's going to make a difference?
Well, I mean, and you're all, like, overpaying Jared Goff.
Yeah, you are. We looked at that, and it's ridiculous how much money he's making for what is being produced at Detroit.
But their defensive backs, they needed depth. And I think they waited too long in the draft to go with depth because now you have all these players that, they might not be as good. Now you're just looking for bodies. You're not going for efficiency.
Yeah.
But, what do I know? But no, grabbing Jameson Williams, Aiden Hutchinson was a no-brainer. It was 1 and 2. Either, the Texans get Trayvon Walker or the Lions get Trayvon Walker. And it just alternated. But, hey, at least Aiden will be at home, hometown. So, and then Jameson Williams was smart, trading up to get him. So, overall, that was the NFL draft. That's really what I took away from it. The big things that stood out to me.
Now, I got a question. Whatever happened with the 49ers and their player that he wanted to get traded?
Oh, Deebo Samuel?
Yeah, Deebo.
Nothing new. We were really expecting news during the draft on Deebo Samuel, but as far as we know, he's still with the 49ers. Now, rumor is that he don't want to be there, but it's still developing. If Deebo goes to a lot of people, and this is honestly my number one pick for where he's probably going to go. I think Deebo wants to play with Russell Wilson and go to the Broncos.
Well, you did say that the Broncos are looking pretty good this year.
They're already looking good. If they get Deebo, and fucking hell,
it's just gonna make this division even more.
Yeah, the AFC West is just going to be even more
stacked,
dramatic. And it's so weird because now we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 3 wild card positions plus the AFC West division winner.
Mm-hmm.
So even if somebody wins the division, the other 3 teams can still make it in.
Oh, Jesus.
Theoretically, we could be looking at, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos,
Chiefs,
and Queefs, all in the playoffs at once. That's just weird.
You're gonna get so much hate because you call them the Queefs.
Ah, fuck off. What do Chiefs fans know? But yeah, it's weird. That's what makes the AFC right now the most exciting, more exciting than the NFC.
And unfortunately, the NFC, you said it yourself, the only one that looks pretty good was the Rams.
Okay, so the Rams are top of the line right now, top of the food chain. They're dominating, head of the table. But Tom Brady coming back.
Yeah, I think
something to look at.
Yeah, I think Tom Brady, he wants to retire on a world championship, and he wants to get that record-breaking 8th world championship.
He's coming back with vengeance.
Even though that number is cursed, it seems it's cursed by everybody.
It is. Lewis Hamilton, Tom Brady,
Michael Schumacher.
Yeah,
we're probably missing like Michael Jordan or something like that.
No, Michael Jordan got 6, and he didn't go for 7.
I thought he got 7.
No, he got 6.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, year off. 1, 2, 3.
It was the year of when he made Space Jam.
When he went and did baseball.
All right, he did do baseball.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the year after was Space Jam.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't know.
Well, anyway, I think we've run on long enough, Davis. We've gone through all the major points, the NFL. So you want to sign us off?
I think I do. One last thing before we leave, I want to really quickly gloss over the developing situation with Arizona Cardinals wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins.
The Cardinals cannot catch a break. They were looking so...
Cardinals have so many stars, and just they're all drama. Like, I don't want to say DeAndre Hopkins is a drama queen, but Kyler Murray's a drama queen. He looks like a kid, and he acts like a kid.
And they were doing so good last season towards, like, the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
In the middle, and then it just dropped off.
Honestly, that is another team you have to keep your eye on, because I think, they do have Hollywood Brown now. That's where he went.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's a good replacement for DeAndre Hopkins if he's going to be out for a little bit. But DeAndre Hopkins tested positive for, what was it? Per sources, apparently, supposedly, speculation says he tested positive for 3 separate types of anabolic steroids and a low-grade beaver tranquilizer.
Wow, now that's a way to party. I've seen people party with elephant tranquilizers,
real, I mean,
but beaver...
He knows how to do it, man.
Hey, you know what? It must have been Canadian.
But now, and it's weird because, he says, to learn that my November drug test came back with trace elements of a banned substance, I was confused and shocked. I fully intend to get to the bottom of this. As soon as I have more information, I will share it. I paraphrased, of course.
Wait a minute. If he was tested in November, why are we just learning about the results right now?
It happens.
Well, isn't he suspended like for 4 games? Because I did read that he is suspended for about 4, maybe 6 games.
Yeah, I think so.
But they said that he's able to do preseason and training and all that. So
yeah. Because, he still has to get ready for the season because he's going to play later.
He got essentially. Look, dude, if you got caught for like 2 different steroids and
3
different steroids, and then you got a beaver tranquilizer. Look, I'm sorry. Either you're,
and then he's going, I have no idea how this got in my body. You fucking injected it, man.
If you were caught with, let's say, heroin, like there's traces of heroin, you could say, well, look, if you eat a poppy bagel and you take a drug test, you could actually
You got that from the Seinfeld episode, didn't you?
No, that's actually
I know.
thing. You can actually get
you eat poppy seeds and you get traces of opium.
Yeah, opium. So, you could say, okay, well, you know what, let's test them and see again to see if that's right. 3 different kinds of steroids and a beaver tranquilizer? I mean, god damn.
Unless it was an accident, he's trying to tranquilize a beaver and the beaver turned the stick on him and went, and he's like, fuck.
Why are you hunting a beaver?
DeAndre Hopkins, answer me this. Why are you hunting beavers and trying to tranquilize them? Leave them alone.
Is it steroids to help you grab the beaver?
Maybe.
There you go. We found the results.
You do 3 cycles of anabolics and then you go and try to tranquilize a beaver. That sounds like a fun week.
Single-handed.
Fun weekend in Arizona.
Yeah, because Arizona is known for their beavers.
Oh, yeah.
Are there beavers in Arizona?
I have no idea. Probably.
I don't know.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Waterboy Experience. We hope you enjoy it, and we look forward to making many more episodes about this, about our shitty opinions. Look for us on Instagram and Twitter and maybe Facebook. We'll decide. Catch us next time. Tune in on Spotify exclusively. Thank you for listening to this episode, and peace.